and welcome back to Eftelhistory. We are back in the Fairytale Forest, and today we'll be looking at the first of the 10 original fairy tales. Today we're gonna dive into the history of probably the least well-known and one of the smaller ones of these original 10, the Naughty Princess, aka the Talking Parrot.
Welcome back to Eftelhistory.
So, what is the Naughty Princess? Well, it's this. Here we have a parrot on a branch, underneath a little roof. The sign next to the parrot says in Dutch, "Speak as long as the eye is red." And indeed, the parrot eye does glow red for a few seconds every time. After the eye stops glowing red, everything that was said during the eye glowing, the parrot repeats back to you in their own voice. Well, of course, moving its beak. So yes, everything I say, the parrot will repeat.
Everything I say, the parrot will repeat.
Now, you might think, okay, there's a parrot that repeats everything what you say. That's kind of what parrots do. Where's the fairy tale part? This is the Fairytale Forest after all. Well, you might remember from the last video that there were 2 fairy tales of the Efteling's own making, and this is one of them. Fairytales, who you might remember from the last video as one of the 3 minds that brought the Efteling to life, had the technical idea of the parrot first, and then built a fairy tale around it. Therefore now let's quickly go over the parrot's inner workings first. These days, recording someone and immediately playing it back in a slightly high-pitched voice is nothing special. There are apps that can do that on your phone. But back in 1952, of course, that was a lot more difficult. The mechanism was imagined by Heinz and elaborated on by Hank Knuivers. They used a special tape recorder that recorded for 6 seconds and then played it back in 5 seconds, creating a slightly higher pitch, not unlike a parrot. The initial idea was to somehow conceal the speaker in the branch that the parrot is sitting on, but that idea was eventually abandoned. These days it's of course done with digital equipment, but you can still see the old tape recorder inside the museum in the park itself, the Wonder Depot. So, they had a technique for repeating what the visitors said and portrayed it as a parrot, which is a simple but logical thought, as parrots are known for their acoustic imitation skills. But that alone a fairy tale does not make. So, they created one. The original small part was created by Peter Reinders and was included on the map of the first Fairytale Forest, so the visitors could know what the actual story behind this was. And later it was expanded upon by Truus Spanberg. So, let me tell you the story of the Naughty Princess. There once were a king and a queen who had a lovely daughter. One night the queen was taking her little princess to bed. She said, "Good night, my princess, my daughter so petite. You shall forever be my dearest, my sweet." The daughter liked the rhyme and said to her mother, "Good night, queen, my mother so neat. I shall forever be your dearest, your sweet." The next day the king came home and brought with him a parrot. The parrot looked beautiful, and the king said that it could repeat everything you said. But when they tried it and said, "Hello, dear parrot," the parrot said nothing. But the princess thought of a fun thing to do, and repeated what the king said. "Hello, dear parrot." And since then, the princess decided to repeat everything that everybody said, like she was the parrot. The princess had lots of fun with the game, to the annoyance of literally everybody in the castle. The king tried to release the parrot, reasoning that it perhaps would make her stop. But even then, the princess kept up her game. One day, the queen told her daughter to take a walk in the nearby forest, in order to get some rest for the castle inhabitants, but warned her to not stray too far from the castle. In the woods, the princess encountered an old lady. "Hello, sweet child," the old lady told her. "Hello, sweet child," the princess repeated. "You sound like a parrot," the old lady said, and again the princess repeated her. Suddenly the old lady pulled out a staff and said some words, and the princess was changed into a parrot. "If you want to be a parrot so bad, then so be it," the old lady said, who turned out to be a witch. The princess in parrot form quickly flew back to the palace. The queen saw the parrot and said, "Oh, how strange, you came back." "Oh, how strange, you came back," the parrot repeated. "Oh, this one actually repeats what we say," the queen laughed. And again, the parrot repeated her words. But the queen's amusement quickly washed away, as that evening it became clear that her daughter the princess was missing and did not come back from a walk in the forest. They tried to search for her, but she could not be found. Months passed by, and the queen got more and more distraught, with only the parrot as a distraction, keeping her company and, of course, repeating everything she said. One day, while looking at the portrait of her daughter, she said her old rhyme in tears. "Oh, my princess, my daughter so petite, you shall forever be my dearest, my sweet." But then something curious happened. Instead of simply repeating the words, the parrot next to her said, "Oh, queen, my mother so neat, I shall forever be your dearest, your sweet." The queen gasped in surprise. "How did you know?" With this, the spell was broken, and the parrot changed back into the princess. "Mother!" the princess cried as she ran into her arms. "I searched for you everywhere, but you were with us all this time?" said the queen. The princess, for the first time in months, did not repeat that sentence, as she had learned that lesson. And they lived happily ever after. And that was the story of the naughty princess. We already discussed the origins of the mechanical concept of the parrot. Afterwards, Reinders presented the idea to Anton Pieck, who made some designs and sketches. Then it was built and it was opened to the public in 1952, together with the other 9 fairy tales. Through the years, in spite of the many additions that were made to the forest itself, this attraction kind of stayed the same. The park experience with different color schemes, like the vibrant reds and greens of the 90s, before returning to what we have today, which are closer to the original sketches made by Pieck. The only functional change was added in 2011. An independent voice was added. Every 2.5 minutes, a male voice, which really contradicts the original tale, it was supposed to be a small princess, could be heard saying things like, "Nice weather, I'd like a nut." But not only the weirdest of the bunch was the lyric of a Dutch song, "Baby, can I have your picture?"
Nee, zullen we mailen?
These additions resulted in a very negative reaction, and therefore were quickly removed from the attraction. Now, a couple of fun facts about parrots. The parrot is one of the 10 coins you can get from the gold pooping donkey from the fairy tale, the wishing table, the gold ass, and the cudgel in the sack. Moreover, it is said that across from the parrot, right behind me, you can hear the rustling of little gnomes walking through the forest. Can you hear it? And that is all there is to say about the naughty princess, aka the talking parrot. I will see you all next time when we're covering the next fairy tale. 1 out of the original 10 is done. 9 more to go. See you next time.